That's such a great freaking picture.
11-1 for the first time in history.
You should make a meme that's 11 dash and then that turkey leg in Jared Goff's hand.
I did just go live. I want to make you aware.
Oh shit! All right, good call. Calling Elise memes.
All right.
Meme alert.
Have to be standing in front of you with a win. I thought our guys did a really, really good job right in the first half with how he operated. And I'm just talking defensively. Coming out in the second half, listen, these guys have some really, really prideful men on their staff, on the field as far as players. And we knew it was going to be a hard-fought battle. That's exactly what I told our guys coming out of halftime. These guys are just not going to lay down. They have guys on that side of the ball that's done some good things in this league. So it was going to be a dogfight. Man, we hated the fact. I'm really, really happy that our guys defensively was on the field to have to end that game in the way they fought. And the situation that we were in to have to win that game was outstanding. It was a good learning experience for all of us. And it's something that I told myself I was going to revisit with our guys, all right, this week, so they can understand exactly what my thought process was and how we got to continue to operate in a situation like that. Second thing, I know the elephant in the room is all the injuries that has happened with us on the defensive side. Listen, it is what it is. Listen, our personnel staff does a really good job of going to acquire players that fit exactly who we are. And I would say this, it's not the playbook that's the most important thing for these guys to come in and learn. It's the style of play that we have. And that's easy to learn because once you see it and once we show it to them, they understand, listen, this is how we play. Because we can shrink the playbook down as much as we want. But it's the way that you play that's the most important. And most of the guys that we bring in, they understand that. And we try to make sure we emphasize that as much as possible. So any questions?
All the time about do your job and not forcing guys to overlap for you because that causes everything to kind of fall apart. What do you do when you've got so many new pieces to just kind of hammer home that point, make sure the chemistry is right regardless of the play call?
I think what we've done, and if you look at the guys that we've had, like we brought in Muhammad. Muhammad was with us in New Orleans, so he understood some of the concepts that we have. We brought Quan in. We had Quan in New Orleans. He understands some of the concepts that we have. And any of the other guys, man, we try to make sure we spend as much time as we can with them and make sure we can shrink the playbook to where, man, these are the calls that we're going to have, right? Understand what your job is, and then make sure they play a certain way. And that's the most important thing, like I said before, it's just the play style.
Value in playing fast over having a vast amount of stuff in. Can you just explain like that?
Absolutely. Because here's a saying that we say in our defense room. It's not what we play, it's how we play. You know, so if I can go in with 4 or 5 calls and they can play fast, they play physical, they play violent, that overcomes a lot of scheme. Listen, you can have as much scheme as you want, but players make the scheme, right? But actually players make the style of play better than the scheme if you think about it the right way. And our guys do a good job of that.
Oh, great song After the Fall by the 99. Great band. I heard they got a great singer. Welcome to the program. It is the Main Event Football Show. I'm your host, Main Event Mike. And on tonight's program, we're going to meet the new Lions. Detroit Lions acquired some new talent. We're going to take a deeper dive into that. We're also going to give you some injury updates, and we're going to take a look ahead at the Green Bay game coming up on Thursday, which is looming large for the Detroit Lions. Right here on the Villain Squad Network, we are broadcasting live into Facebook. Lions Villain Squad, that's the Facebook page, approaching 60,000. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Appreciate everyone that's watching today. We're also going live into Detroit Lions News podcast on Facebook. Also going live on Joe Chapp's Twitter page. You can go on X. I refuse to call it X. I still call it Twitter because I grew up in the 90s and being on X meant something completely different in the 90s. We're going on News podcast, also on their YouTube, which is JC Sports Network on YouTube. You can also catch us on the Villain Squad YouTube channel at Villain Squad. Also broadcasting live into the Huddle Sports Zone on Roku TV. Welcome to the program, everyone. This program brought to you by NFLshop.com. The Villain Squad Network is an official marketing partner of NFLshop.com. You can look in the comments and you will find the link to the NFL Shop website using our code and using our link, and you can save up to 50% on a sweet black jersey like this one. You could get for 50% off and give it to someone for Christmas or give it to yourself for Christmas. Why not? Self-love. It's very important. That's NFLshop.com, and we're glad to have them sponsoring the show today. Hello, everyone. It's I, Main Event Mike, and the Detroit Lions. Somebody pinch me. Are we 11-1? 11-1. Number one seed in the NFC right now. The injuries are mounting up. Look, all teams have injuries, especially as you're heading into week 14 of the season, okay? But for the first time, we're 11-1 in franchise history. For the first time. The only thing that's been killing us is these injuries keep hitting the same side of the ball. These injuries keep hitting the same position groups, and that can be problematic. Fortunately, we didn't get to 11-1 by accident. We got to 11-1 because we have the best general manager in the NFL. And I'm going to say arguably, but it's not really arguably. I mean, Howie Roseman might have a case, but Brad Holmes is an absolute Jedi. And he's brought in the talent. Yes, Dan Campbell is a huge reason. He's got these guys playing. But look, you can't bake cookies using turnips, okay? And Brad Holmes has given Dan Campbell the right groceries to cook the meal, and now we're sitting at 11-1. Had it not been for 1 for 7 in the red zone against Tampa, we'd be 12-0, folks. But it doesn't end there, unfortunately. Every single week we come back and say, but the Packers won too. The Vikings won too. So even though we're 11-1, we can't gain any ground in this division. Now with the injuries stacking up on the defensive side of the ball, Brad Holmes has had to go out and work his magic, plucking guys off of practice squads, doing whatever he could do to try to Band-Aid this defense together at the linebacker position, at the defensive line position. The list of names that the Lions have put on injured reserve at linebacker and defensive line is enough to field an entire team, folks. An entire team. Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Malcolm Rodriguez. There's your 3 linebackers. Marcus Davenport. Levi Onwuzurike hurt. He's questionable for the next game. He's not on IR. But John Kaminsky is. Now Mekhi Wingo is. Now Aiden Hutchinson is. There's your 4. That's a pretty good 4-3 defense. That's a pretty good front 7 right there. All on injured reserve for the Detroit Lions. Not a good look. It's going to be tough. It's not impossible, but it's going to be tough, especially when you look at the schedule coming down the stretch here. I love that picture, Russ. I love that. That's from Elise Memes. We call Green Bay the evil empire, and they are coming to Ford Field on Thursday. Fortunately, they Thanksgiving also, so they're going to have the same amount of rest as us. And they're banged up as well. So it's going to be interesting. At the end of this program, we're going to take a nice deep dive looking ahead to the Green Bay Packers. But right now, I want to talk about these new Detroit Lions. Before we get into that, let's take a look in the comments, see who we have today. Really appreciate everyone who's watching today and everyone who's in the comments, especially if you are watching this on the recorded version on the page feed. We really, really appreciate you. Davies in the house says, good evening, One Pride. Jordan Mijo, happy 10th victory Monday in a row, villains. Right, 11-1, but 10 in a row. First time ever. Chad says, hey, family, I got 30 minutes before I got to go. Keep on keeping on, Chad. We're all rooting for you, brother. Scotty Reno in the house says, let's go Lions. I hear that. Roderick in the house. What up, though? I'm from Flint, Michigan. We invented what up, though. John Herman, good evening, Mike. Jason in the house says, good morning. Good morning? Where are you at, Jason? 7 o'clock Eastern time, p.m. here in Michigan. But that's cool. Mike Fisher says, AG is who I thought he was. In the Dennis Green voice. He is who we thought he was. I backed him last year for what he was able to scrape together. I knew with some help in secondary, AG would cook. Such a good call-out, Mike. Such a good call-out. There's so many people bashing AG last year and even into this year. Man, I wish you could be in our back chat. Our back chat, our little chat that we got with some of our villains, they just bash. I mean, one of the guy's names, he's put his name as Aaron Glenn is trash. And they just bash AG. In my opinion, it shows that you have a low football IQ because you don't know what makes a good coach, in my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. And if you think AG's trash, that's fine. But AG has scraped together and got us at 12-5 to the NFC title game last year with Kendall Vildor as your number one DB. Okay? The guy's done an incredible job. What do you actually need from a coach? You need a coach that can motivate men. These are all professional athletes. Even the guy sitting on the bench in the NFL was the best player on his team in high school and college. These are all top flight athletes. What separates the great ones from the good ones is desire and between the ears. And that's what a coach can do. He can improve your football acumen. He can improve your desire. He can kick you in the ass, light a fire under you. And that's what AG does. He's a great coach. He's going to be a head coach next year. Mark my words, whether we win the Super Bowl or not, AG is going to be a head coach somewhere, probably the New York Jets. He's a Jets legend, a number one draft pick there. Look at that graphic from our producer. Running back one, Penei Sewell. I have never seen a tackle for loss get such a big ovation from a crowd in my life as that play. And guess what? He was going to throw that ball. It's such a shame that the Bears read that perfectly and had everyone covered, because it would have been beautiful to watch Penei Sewell throw a touchdown pass on that play. But like I said, the Bears covered it perfectly, and Penei did the right thing, tucked the ball, swatted a few defenders before he was taken out of bounds. They never did tackling. What a great play that was, even though it was a tackle for a loss. I was at the Lions den screaming, what a great call. Oh, yeah, it was a 2-yard loss, but hey, gotta love the call. A lot of excitement with this Lions team and Ben Johnson, because that's just the way he is. We got Paul in the house. He's a super villain. What's up, man? That Mike catching you from work. Don't work too hard, Paul. Franco in the chat says, let's go Detroit. Welcome to the program, Franco. Stephen Rowland in the One Pride main event. This is the main event. All right. I love that call out. Thanks, everybody, for putting their comments in. Adam Schefter reported that former Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams is signing with the Lions practice squad. The idea is that he'll be elevated to Detroit's roster. Adams had been eyeing an opportunity with a playoff contender. Well, here's your opportunity, Jamal. A playoff contender indeed. At 11 wins, I think it's already a lock. We're going to the playoffs. Let's give you a little backstory on this newest Detroit Lion. Jamal Adams is 29 years old. He's 6'1", 213 pounds. He was the 6th overall draft pick in the 2017 draft by the New York Jets. He's a 3-time All-Pro, not Pro Bowl, All-Pro. He was drafted in 2017, so he doesn't have that much mileage on him, as you might think. He's had a few injuries, but, what is that, 7 years, a 7-year pro. Guess what, folks? He missed a year and a half of those 7 years with injury. So he doesn't have as many miles on him as you may think. Well, if he's that good, why was he out on the street? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he was playing for the Tennessee Titans this year. He played 3 games with the Titans, saw it was a dumpster fire, and asked to be released. He's known as a malcontent. He's known as a guy who's made some questionable Twitter posts. Right? He called out a reporter. He posted a picture of a reporter's wife and said, "Ooh, she looked good." Made some comments about how this reporter's wife looked. But this was a payback for this reporter calling him out for a touchdown that he gave up to lose a game. So he has had some character issues in the past, but he's coming into week 14 to the Detroit Lions. I don't see that as being a problem. He wanted to play for a contender. He asked the Tennessee Titans after 3 games to be released. They didn't cut him. That he asked, "Hey, get me out of here. I'd rather not play than play here." And so he did. They did. They released him. And he's been sitting at home ever since. Where is home? Well, he's a Texas native. Just like, guess who? Aaron Glenn. And he has a personal relationship with Aaron Glenn, by the way. In 2017, at the LSU Pro Day, where Jamal Adams went to college, it was Aaron Glenn who was running the defensive back drills when he was then the DB coach for the New Orleans Saints. And he got to know Jamal Adams, and they have been friends ever since. They keep in close contact. Jamal Adams was quoted today as saying, "AG is a hell of a coach, as everyone knows, but an even better person," unquote. What does that sound like to you folks? That sounds like a guy who's going to put the personal crap aside. He's going to put all these other issues he's had in the past aside, and he's going to play hard for Aaron Glenn. Just like we said at the beginning of this program, what do we want from a coach? A guy who can get the most out of a player. And it seems like Jamal Adams' already established relationship with Aaron Glenn is going to facilitate that. Aaron Glenn's going to be able to get the most out of this player. And he's a 3-time All-Pro in his 7th year with really only 5 years of playing with tread on the tires of only 5 years. This could be a huge signing. After doing my research for the program tonight, I realized that I might have misspoke this morning on the Villain Report with Russell Wayne. I said I really like this move because it was going to allow Jamal Adams to hold down the back end with Kirby Joseph and let Brian Branch run that hybrid role kind of in between safety and linebacker. But perhaps that's not what's happening. When you look at Jamal Adams, excuse me, I just miss Swaggy. That's why I keep saying Jamal Williams. Jamal Adams, when you look at Jamal Adams and you look at his stats, let's go through them real quick. Jamal Adams has, where did I write it here? Good gosh, I'm terrible. Anyway, 498 tackles. He has 42 QB hits, 21.5 sacks, 4 interceptions. He has more sacks than interceptions, QB hits, and tackles. This guy has been a hybrid linebacker most of his career. That's what made him a Pro Bowler, was how good he was in the box. He's always been a box safety. This is his strong suit. So Jamal Adams, I was probably wrong this morning. I'm not above that. I can admit when I was wrong. He'll probably be a box safety, and Brian Branch will hold down the back end. Or Brian Branch will play nickel corner, since we're still banged up there with Carlton Davis in question whether he'll play. So Brandon Joseph's been playing pretty good. Safety, they might move him back there, put Brian Branch at the nickel, and let Jamal Adams help the linebacking room. Look, you got Trevor Nowaski and Ben Neiman. These guys are guys that have been waived. They've been on practice squads. They're not considered frontline starters. But Jack Campbell is. And Jack Campbell holding down the middle. And when you got guys like Nowaski and Neiman on each side of him who have great lateral quickness, that's what these guys are good at. They're really good at going sideline to sideline, which is what we need on this team right now. So Jamal Adams can provide some linebacker depth, even though he's traditionally a safety. Jamal Adams has started 81 games in his career. He was a first-round draft pick, 6th overall, by the way, for the New York Jets. He demanded a trade because Adam Gase had the New York Jets tanking every year. He demanded a trade, and he got it. And he was traded to the Seattle Seahawks for future draft picks, which turned out to be Garrett Wilson for the New York Jets. So that trade didn't work out too bad for the Jets, really, in the big picture. But he was cut by the Tennessee Titans in October of this year, and he's just been sitting at home in Texas waiting for a playoff team to call. And now that call has come. Look, these veterans know what they're doing. They don't want to go play for the Bears. They don't want to go play for the Panthers. They got plenty of money. They want a ring. They want to win. And he's been sitting at home, and that's why we haven't seen Ryan Tannehill surface. Another Tennessee cast-off. He doesn't want to go play for another chump team. He wants to win. Ryan Tannehill's still sitting at home, waiting for the call. Well, Jamal Adams got his call, and now he's a Detroit Lion, and I'm stoked about it. It looks like he's going to wear 25. He had his first practice yesterday with the Lions, and he was taking reps with the linebackers. Right now, he's just on the practice squad, but the expectation is he will be elevated very soon, possibly as soon as this week for the Green Bay Packer game on Thursday. The final injury report doesn't come out until Wednesday, so we'll know a lot more then whether or not they're going to elevate him or if they're going to keep him on the practice squad for this week. But regardless, Jamal Adams is going to see the field as a Detroit Lion this year. You can book that. Put it in the comments. Tell me what you think about Jamal Adams signing with the Detroit Lions. Do you like this signing? Do you think this is going to be impactful? Do you think it's going to help? I want to know. Jason Badur in the house says, "What's up, Russell Wayne and Mike? Let's play ball." Paul Jones says, "First-time watcher, long-time commenter." John says, "Lions fan for 60-plus years, and this is by far the best team ever." I hear you, John. Best team I've ever seen wearing silver and blue, for sure.
Great comment.
Great comment. Jordan says, "Jake Bates is no longer perfect, and he's better for it. All the pressure of perfection has been lifted. Rather, he missed his first kick in a regular season game that they still win than in a playoff game-ending situation." That is a great comment as well. Jake Bates was perfect going into the game on Thanksgiving, and he did miss a 43-yarder. And I love that call. It takes the pressure off. Think about it. Every Lions fan, every time Jake Bates is lining up a field goal, every Lions fan either says out loud or in their head, "Hey, he hasn't missed all year, you know. He's been perfect all year." Oh, Jake Bates is automatic. That pressure starts to mount just if you're a fan. Imagine if you're the kicker. That pressure had to be huge. I agree, Jordan. I'm glad he missed one now. Let's hope he doesn't miss any more, though. I want this kid to make the Pro Bowl. I think it'll be an incredible story, an incredible ending to an incredible story already. Chad says the wife wants a jersey for Christmas, Russ, but the link is bad. We're going to try to work on that for you, Chad. I think we have a QR code we can put up at for sure. Yeah, 50% off at NFLshop.com for sure. This from Mike says Jamal was already like a linebacker. Right. That's what I had to figure out today. He'll be great going after QB second and third downs. I believe players with bad attitudes or locker room problems would blend into the culture. Sure. We're the villains, baby. Darn right. We're like the bad boy Pistons. This team. Nobody likes us. We're starting to make it onto those lists of most hated teams by other fan base. Moving on. We also have a new Detroit Lion at linebacker. His name is Quan Alexander. He was originally drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2015. He was a fourth-round pick, again, out of LSU. He's also an Alabama native. He's 30 years old. In 2016, Quan Alexander led the NFL in tackles. He made the Pro Bowl in 2017 with the Buccaneers. His career stats, he has 639 tackles, 13 and a half sacks, and 9 interceptions. The guy was a beast when he was in his prime. He was drafted in 2015, so he's an 8-year pro going into his 9th season. He's in his 9th season. This is the 7th team that he's played for. So obviously He's on the back nine, right? He's on the backside of his career. But we're going into week 14, and he's fresh. He hasn't played all year. This is his 7th team, and the guy was a beast. And believe me, if Dan Campbell can't motivate you, no one can. I firmly believe that if Quan Alexander can just get to 2/3 of what he was, he's going to be an impact player for this team down the stretch if he gets on the field. But even if he doesn't, Dan Campbell said it in his press conference, these guys give us options. These guys give us some depth. If you look over on the bench right now, there's no one behind Nowoski and Neiman to play linebacker. Jalen Reeves-Maben is even out. As we said, Anzalone, Barnes, now Rodrigo. Hell, our backups are all hurt at linebacker. Good thing AG's base defense has traditionally been a 4-2-5. It doesn't rely on linebacker play that much, or multiple linebackers anyway. So Quan Alexander could be a good addition. He's 6'1", 227. He's 30 years old. So Jamal Adams from LSU, 29 years old, and Quan Alexander from LSU, 30 years old. So these guys played big-time college football at LSU and the SEC. They played big-time, meaningful snaps in the NFL as well. Interesting tidbit here I dug up for you. Jamal Adams' dad was George Adams, the running back for the New York Giants, who won a Super Bowl 22 with the Giants. He also played on some really good Patriot teams. So Jamal Adams, it's in his DNA. This guy's a football player. Not a surprise that AG, familiar with him. Quan Alexander played for New Orleans. Also, AG and Dan Campbell, both familiar with him. They know what they're getting. It's not like they're plucking some drywaller off a practice squad, some guy who's never had a cup of coffee in the league. These are hardened veterans who know what it takes to win. And you heard AG in that press conference at the beginning of the program. Look, players can overcome the scheme. It doesn't matter how you scheme us. If our players play a certain way with a violent nature, they can overcome anything the other team schemes against you. AG said that. And he believes that these are the kind of players that are going to make an impact, a difference for the Detroit Lions. And like Dan Campbell said, give us some options. So I do love it that we're doing something. Quan Alexander, Jamal Adams. We also signed Jonah Williams, a defensive lineman from the Rams practice squad, who started all 17 games last year for the Los Angeles Rams. So this guy has frontline experience as well. I don't know how much we're going to see him. I don't know that much about him. But the other player we pulled up is also an Adams, a defensive lineman from Seattle. So we brought in a hybrid safety linebacker with Jamal Adams, a linebacker with Quan Alexander, and two defensive linemen with the Seattle Adams and Jonah Williams from the Rams. And we've also brought in another safety, Kavion Merriweather. So 5 new Detroit Lions on the defensive side of the ball to try to mitigate some of these injuries. Will it be enough? And will the injuries continue to mount? What are we going to do? Are we going to pluck more guys from other practice squads? Very, very interesting to find out what's going to happen. These last 5 weeks of the NFL season are going to be very compelling, very drama-filled, and they're going to sort out the seeding of the NFC playoffs and the NFC North. This week, it's War Week. The Bears get the Niners, poor Bears, while the Lions and the Packers play each other. And the Minnesota Vikings get the Atlanta Falcons in Minneapolis. So we could be looking at another week where the Vikings keep pace with the Lions if they win. Or we were looking at a week where the Packers beat the Lions and lose a game in the win column. And then if Minnesota wins, they'd be tied record-wise. We would own the tiebreaker, and that would really force a big game in Week 18 when the Vikings come to Ford Field. It's going to be an incredible 5 weeks. This has been an incredible season already. The scheduler makers really outdid themselves this year, I think. And it's been really, really drama-filled, and I just love it. What a great time to be an NFL fan. What a great time to be a Detroit Lions fan. Speaking of being a Detroit Lions fan, everyone's favorite Detroit Lion, Aiden Hutchinson. Yesterday, marked 7 weeks since Aiden Hutchinson broke his leg in Dallas. It's been 7 weeks. He was spotted on Thursday walking around Ford Field with a noticeable gait, a little hitch in his giddy up, but walking without crutches and unassisted. Amazing. It was actually very fortunate that the injury happened in Dallas because they were right around the corner from the Baylor Medical Center, who just happened to have the world's leading expert on tibia and fibula reconstruction. Like, the guy you would want happened to be 5 minutes down the road, and they got him immediately into surgery. The report is that the doctor was at the hospital waiting for him. And it's also reported by people a lot smarter than me that getting immediately to the repair helps with the healing process. If you're going to heal faster, getting to it quicker, not sitting in an ER for 9 or 10 hours like you and I would have to do, but getting immediately in and getting to it while everything is still fresh, all the nerves, everything is still firing, being able to put it all back together so quickly is going to aid the healing process. It's been 7 weeks. We have 5 weeks left of the regular season. Then let's hope the Lions get a bye in that next week for the playoffs. And then you've got 2 more weeks. And then you've got 2 weeks off for between that and the Super Bowl. If the Lions can make it to the Super Bowl, Aiden Hutchinson will be roughly, let's see, 7, 5 is 12. Count that one's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, going on 18 weeks since the injury when the Super Bowl happens. They say it's a 4 to 6 month recovery time. 4 weeks, of course, being 16 months. And he'll be in his 17th month. Dan Campbell said the day after the injury, if anybody can come back sooner, I believe it's Hutch. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed. There is a guy named Dr. David Chow, if some of you are familiar with him. David Chow is the leading NFL doctor, medical voice in the NFL, really. If you listen to satellite radio, you're probably very familiar with him like I am. David Chow said, don't read too much into Aiden Hutchinson walking in a pool. It doesn't mean anything. There's like zero gravity there. He's not putting any weight on it. Well, guess what, Dr. Chow? 2 weeks after you said that, he's now walking unassisted with no crutches. So I think the outlook is good. It will be amazing if Aiden Hutchinson comes in to play in a Super Bowl. It'll be amazing if the Lions make it to a Super Bowl. But if Aiden Hutchinson walks out on the field in New Orleans to play, what is that going to do to that team? The energy that is going to bring to that team is going to be palpable. I don't think it's going to matter who we play in the Super Bowl. If Aiden Hutchinson is trotted out in uniform, it's going to be epic, to say the least. Put in the comments. I want to know what you think. Do you think Aiden Hutchinson has a chance to come back? You're watching the Main Event Football Show, brought to you by NFLShop.com. Don't forget to watch us 10 a.m. right here on the Villain Squad for the Lions Villain Report with Russell Wayne. Coming up tomorrow is PFF Tuesday. We're going to take a look at the PFF grades from the Thanksgiving game against the Bears. And I'm really going to be interested to see what Kirby Joseph's grade was. I really want to see what Dan Skipper's grade was. Dan Skipper, of course, filling in for the injured Taylor Decker on Thursday. And he did give up 4 pressures, but he was holding down the fort at left tackle before he suffered a torso injury himself. So Taylor Decker is questionable. He did not practice today. He was not a participant in practice. Dan Campbell said, and I quote, that one will come down to the wire, unquote, is what Dan Campbell said regarding Taylor Decker being able to play on Thursday against the Packers. So that's going to be really interesting. Going to be really looking closely at that injury report on Wednesday to see if Taylor Decker is going to go on Thursday. Let's take a look in the comments, see what we got here. Mike says Jamal Adams could set an edge as well. At 6'1", though, I think a big left tackle is going to probably handle him all day. His best bet coming off the edge is going to be on a surprise stunt, linebacker blitz, or something like that. Davey says we needed Jamal. Yeah, we needed somebody that can play. Steven says, awesome ad for Detroit. Thanks for the comments, folks. I really appreciate it. Jason says, great pickup. Love this move. He'll make an impact on this team. Carolyn's in the house. Welcome back, Carolyn. I think I read we also picked up Kavion Merriweather. Am I right? That's right. He's a safety who also played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2020, these guys won a Super Bowl, okay? We're bringing that kind of experience to the team. I love that. Brad is cooking. Well, it's pretty tough to cook. He's making a 5-star meal out of, 7-Eleven, what's on the shelf. J Mommy says, I noticed the Lions were going after teams practice squad that were still contending for the playoffs. Smart move. Right. Because they weren't good enough to make that team. But, and you can protect some players on the practice squad, so we had to take the ones that weren't protected. But yeah, absolutely, J Mommy. Just like they draft players from big-time FBS schools, right? The competition is higher. Competition is better. That's one thing Dan Campbell and AG are always preaching is competition. Well, we'll get a chance to come in and compete. It's all about competition. Competition breeds results in sports and in business. John Herman says all these late season pickups can't hurt, but we need somebody. Marcelo is in the house. Most coaches, you give 75 to 80%. Dan Campbell brings out the best in you. You get 110% out of them with Dan Campbell. That's such a great call out. Paul Jones says Jonah Williams is decent and can break up a double team. There you go. He's a space eater. I feel like with DJ Reader, who, by the way, hurt his shoulder Thanksgiving, he did not practice today either. DJ Reader had a beast of a game. He was player of the game, DJ Reader. Got a turkey leg out of the deal. He banged up his shoulder, did not practice. He did say in the locker room, though, he would be good to go against the Packers. Leo in the house. Welcome back to the program, Leo. Man, I would hate for all of this to end because of all the injuries. I pray every night for my team because at 65 and never seeing a team like this isn't going to happen again. Well, there's good news on the horizon, Leo. All of these players are signed through 2027, all these impact players. The Lions have maybe 4 or 5 open roster spots next year. So hang around a little bit longer, Leo. It's very hard to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. If they don't do it this year, don't give up, my friend, because this team is set up for success for the long term. You hearing me there? A long term. Aiden also made an Instagram post about a kid that he follows working out, and Aiden showed off his new walk. Yeah. Aiden will definitely be ready if we make the Super Bowl. Well, definitely. It's medical. It's 2 broken bones in your leg. Let's hope. I hope you're right. Leo says the street news has the Lions losing this week. I'm not even going to read the rest of that comment. Charles is in the house. He says your competition is clear. The Eagles are just as good as Detroit. Yeah, Charles, I can't argue there. And I think their GM is just as good as ours too, Howie Roseman. He's just as good as Brad Holmes. Take a look up and down the Eagles roster, and you'll see just what you see on the Lions roster. Players that went to big-time colleges, players that know what top-level competition is all about, studs up and down the roster, even guys with character issues in college, they're able to bring them in, adjust them to the culture, and straighten those out. Jalen Carter was a beast in the game against Baltimore yesterday. I don't know if you've seen that. That guy is a total beast. Yeah, man, they're sitting at 10-2. It does seem, I've said this all week, it does seem like the Eagles and the Lions are on this collision course for the NFC title. Let's hope someone else takes them out in the playoffs. And if not, let's hope we got to play them in Ford Field. I love the comment, though, Charles. Thank you for putting it in. Leo says, no way Aiden's coming back. It would be too dangerous. That's a good call, too. Why risk further injury? Why risk a crippling of such a young star and bring him back? That's a good call, Leo. Maybe this bringing him back stuff is just us being wishful thinking, right? It's just serendipitous. We want it so bad. Not what's it called? Not confirmation bias, but some sort of bias, meaning we want it so bad that we make it real. But you might be right there, Leo. I think that's a great call out. Gun Guy, one of my favorites, back in the chat, says Lions run the North. Love it. Carolyn says Eagles also have an easier upcoming schedule than we have. That's a good call. They had a brutal schedule that culminated last week with the Ravens, one of the best teams in football, and they pounded them on the road. Their hard part of their schedule, they made it through and came out 10-2. They are on a mission this year, folks. Vic Fangio, coming over from Miami as the defensive coordinator, has made all the difference in the world. Jettisoning a cancer like Matt Patricia didn't hurt. But bringing in Vic Fangio was a big move for them. This defense is playing great. And Howie Roseman knocking out of the park on draft day, taking Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, two young, really good corners, DBs that are going to be around for a long time. Of course, you got Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. And what? Saquon Barkley? Who the hell let the Eagles get Saquon Barkley, for crying out loud? It's almost not fair. And then after the Packer game, Leo's pointing out we got the Bills coming. Yeah, the Bills are going to be a problem. They looked really good last night, pounding a great San Francisco team. Look, you've got the Eagles sitting at 10-2, Lions at 11-1. And on the other side, you've got the Chiefs at 11-1 and the Buffalo Bills at 10-2. Then you've got some really good teams running up in third place in each conference as well, with the Minnesota Vikings at 10-2 and the Packers at 9-3. And you've also got the Pittsburgh Steelers with only 3 losses and winning their division, a very tough division, after they pounded the Bengals yesterday. Bengals fight coming back. I think it was only a 4-point victory by the end. See, that final score was 38-44, so a 6-point victory. Steelers did cover the spread. The Bengals just kept coming back and coming back and coming back. But Pittsburgh looks like the real deal too. On the road, they win that game. Tough division game. Mike Fisher, I love this comment. I'm dreaming of that dynasty. I think we have a better core than the Patriots dynasty. Goff is not Tom Brady, but the rest of the team looks better than their core. I agree 100% with that assessment. Tom Brady is quite the difference maker. I think we have better receivers now than the Patriots ever had. Maybe Randy Moss was better. But as a group, our receivers the last couple of years are pretty good. They never have great receivers. We definitely have better tight ends than that team. They had good defenses, but a lot of that had to do with the coaching. The players themselves, when they were moved on to other teams, didn't do that great. It was always asked, is it Belichick or is it Brady? Well, I think that question's been answered. It's Tom Brady. It was always Tom Brady. When he went to the Buccaneers and won a Super Bowl in the first year, I think that put all the others to rest, all the rest of it to rest. I think it's always the quarterback over the coach. Always. Look at it. And was it Russell Wilson or was it Pete Carroll? I think we saw yesterday it's Russell Wilson. He's special. He won a Super Bowl, took his team to another. There's so many other examples there that the quarterback makes all the difference. It all starts and ends with a quarterback. Everyone in the NFL knows it. Most fans know it as well. And to your point, Mike, they are doing what you do when you build a dynasty. You start on the offensive and defensive line. You drop in an affordable quarterback. You draft well, and especially in this new NFL with a salary cap and rookie contracts, this is the new model. Brad Holmes is setting the blueprint for that, folks. We've got so many guys playing on rookie deals, and we're still under the cap. We're still top 5 in the league under the cap. And what does he do with that money? He re-signs Aleem McNeil. He re-signs David Montgomery. That's awesome, folks. That is awesome. We are building a dynasty here. It's already in the works. You're talking about this is the 3rd year in a row with a winning record. That's how dynasties start to ascend. I love it. I love all the comments. You guys are kicking ass today. Randy in the house says, got win division first. Minnesota and Green Bay are close and healthy. Right. And we got to play them both at our house yet, Randy. If we can get wins in week 14 and week 18 against those two teams, it's damn near locked up. You know, of all the teams we have left, and great job by our producer here. I'm going to bring him in just a minute. Putting up the Lions' remaining games here. we're at home against Green Bay, as you know, this Thursday. The following week, we're at home again against Buffalo. Then we go on the road to the Bears, on the road to the Niners, and finish up in Ford Field like we did last year against the Minnesota Vikings. So out of those 5 games, put it in the comments. I want to hear what's going to be our record over the next 5 games. I'm actually going to predict 2 losses here. I know you're going to hate me for it, but I'm going to predict 2 losses here. I believe we're going to lose to the Bears in Chicago. I know it sounds crazy. How dare I? But I think we're going to take care of business at home against the other 3, and I think we lose the 2 road games. We've been perfect on the road this year. I don't know if that's sustainable with all these injuries. The home cooking, the home crowd, that gets you pumped up. That makes these second-string guys play a little bit better, play a little bit harder, I should say. I think we're going to lose 2 of these 5. I don't know which 2. I'm going to say the Bears and the Niners because that's the easy, low-hanging fruit because those are the road games. Put it in the comments, though. I'm dead serious about this, villains. Put it in the comments. I want to hear what's our record down the stretch, the last 5 games. I want to hear from you. Mike says, I see 2 losses as well. Not sure exactly which ones, but they're coming. Right. You can almost feel it. Gosh, let's hope we're wrong, Mike. But your name is Mike, so you're probably not going to be wrong. Davey says 4-1. Book it. We lose to Buffalo, he says. After watching Josh Allen in Buffalo yesterday, you wouldn't get me betting on the Lions in that game. I wouldn't bet against Josh Allen. He's been beating me way too much this year. Michael Shelby's in the house. He says if we lose 2, it'll be to Green Bay and Buffalo. What about Brian Flores in that defense? What about Christian McCaffrey at home with Brock Purdy in San Francisco? And what about the ghosts in San Francisco that those Lions might be seeing when they get into that stadium from that epic collapse in the title game last year? Yeah, that's right. An epic collapse. Leo thinks it'll be the Vikings and the Bills. And Joseph, I love you, Joseph. 0 losses. Offense outscores them all. Who cares about the injuries on defense? With this offense, we can just outscore everyone. I love that call. Randy says, most important is to best Minnesota and Green Bay. We can afford to lose to the Bills because they are AFC and need NFC tiebreaker wins. Think we are 14-3. That's a great call out. We need NFC tiebreaker wins if we're going to get home field advantage against Philadelphia. I mean, isn't that really the only competition outside of our division right now to even challenge us for the number 1 seed? Outside of Minnesota and Green Bay, it's really just the Eagles that have enough wins in the win column already to even think about challenging us for that number 1 seed. Like all great empires, they're usually destroyed from within. And within this division could be how it happens. Yeah, folks, I'm long-winded. I'm sorry. I don't do this all by myself. You see these awesome pictures coming across the screen. It's not done by me. I'm not that smart. It's done by our illustrious producer, the one, the only, the maestro. Please welcome to the program, Russell Wayne. Welcome to the program tonight, Russell.
Yeah, great conversation tonight. I've been enjoying listening. Great comments tonight. Great audience interaction. It's great to be on your show, Mike. Thank you.
No, absolutely great comments, Russ. I love that call out. The villains are hot tonight. I do have a couple of other things on my notes here. Malcolm Rodriguez, torn ACL, out for the season. I want to hear you tell me how huge that is, because I know you and you're going to poo-poo it and you're going to say, oh, no, we got guys, we got coaches, and it's not going to be a problem. I think it's huge because of what he brings to special teams. Torn ACL now for Rodrigo, officially out for the season, Malcolm Rodriguez. How big is that loss, Russ?
I think every one of those losses have been big. You know, Anzalone, you lose your captain, and now you lose Malcolm Rodriguez. Now, I do think I will poo-poo it to a point where the guys that have been here, because I believe in the progression of the team. I believe in the coaching, and I believe that everybody that's been here since training camp, you could put them in there. You can count on Neiman. You can count on Nowaski. You can count on these guys to play well. But it's going to take these other guys a few weeks if you're going to bring them in within that coaching circle. So, I mean, I like a couple of the ideas that they have. I love seeing an article that says that Jamal Adams is going to be taking reps at linebacker because he's a big safety. So maybe they have him in there and he's that perfect guy. They can use him in that Ifatu Malafanu role from last year. I would think that would be good for him. But I think they're going to have to switch the way they play defense. You know, you have to adjust, obviously, to those losses. If you're going to be weaker there, then, yeah, put speed out there. You need guys that can cover, right? Maybe that's why they're putting Jamal Adams out there in space, because they want a guy that can get out there and cover, but also be able to get after the quarterback.
Rodrigo's a fan favorite. He is a stalwart on special teams. He's a locker room guy. Everyone loves Rodrigo, number 44. And I think him coming out, going to injured reserve, not only impacts the team on the field, but in the locker room as well. That's a tough loss. He's already a backup linebacker, and now he's hurt.
Right.
So I really think it's being understated.
I think that we go to a nickel-based type of defense where we're going to use more defensive backs than we do linebackers. I mean, that's one way that you can do it, because I think a nice, healthy, you got a duo, Jack Campbell and whoever, whether it's Neiman, Nowaski, even this David Long guy they brought in from Miami was taking meaningful snaps. This special teams dude named Turner was out there taking defensive end snaps. So, Aaron Glenn, I mean, I don't know what to say. Aaron Glenn's just been pretty good at this. You know,
yeah, that's a good call out. David Long, the linebacker that they brought in, was praised by Dan Campbell in the post-game press conference for his contributions. So these guys bringing in already making an impact. You know, when you golf with good golfers, you golf better. When you play basketball with good ball players, you play better. It's the same thing with these NFL players. When you raise the level of competition, you have to raise your game to meet it, or you get chucked off to the side.
Because I did PFF Saturday, so I'm not going to go and just rehash all this stuff tomorrow. So, but what I am going to do for PFF Tuesday is we're going to kind of take a look as to like whole season up until now and see where all the players are from the NFC North. But here's the defensive grades right here. And I loved what you want to be able to see here is you got Josh Pascal that goes out early in the game. And then your highest graded players are Zadarius Smith and Muhammad, your practice squad defensive end guy who actually had a sack and 4 pressures. Zadarius Smith had 6 pressures.
Mm-hmm.
Aleem McNeil had 3 pressures.
Right.
So
Lions with 5 sacks total against the Bears. It was nice to see some sacks in the box score for a change, and I think that's a direct result of Zadarius Smith and what he's been bringing to this team. We're running out of time here. I want to take a quick look ahead to the game on Thursday. This is a weekly program, so I don't get my chance very often, but I got to take a look ahead to the game Thursday. It's a Thursday night football game. Somebody told me that this game is being moved to Fox. I hope that's not true because I don't get Fox. I have to go somewhere else to watch games that are on Fox, but it should be on Thursday night football Thursday night football on Prime is what I thought, right? Is it a Prime or Peacock? Either way,
it'll be there too, but I think that
it will be there too. Okay.
I think that the NFL's flexing his big muscle right now, saying, "Hey, look, this is a big game, and we're just going to make it available in other spots."
Either way, it's a Thursday night game that kicks off at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time. Green Bay, the opening line right now is Detroit -3.5. Be sure to tune in to the Villain Report 10 a.m. on this network where we do Prediction Thursday. We make our lock picks, and Russell and I will predict this game. But right now, the spread is 3.5. The over-under is 51.5. So the odds makers are expecting a high-scoring game with both teams going over 25 points. Neither team, when you add their averages together, I think it comes out to right about 51.5. So Josh Jacobs has been tearing it up for the Green Bay Packers, rushing the ball, but the Detroit Lions have not given up a 100-yard rusher in 25 games? Some ridiculous number. We've not given up 100 yards to a running back. The odds and the money on Josh Jacobs, it's even money for him to get 70 yards. Okay? So will Josh Jacobs go over that total 70 yards? These guys in Vegas knows just what you don't think so, Russ? He won't get 70.
No.
I think 70
I think that they were insulted the last time that they played the Packers, and Jacobs had a pretty good game, but then they were out of the game so fast that they had to go to all passing, so he didn't get as much work in the second half. But what they were doing in the first half worked. Josh Jacobs actually averaged like 7 yards a carry in that game. Mm-hmm. But our defense and our offense pushed out ahead of them far enough that they had to kind of abandon that because it was 2 scores the whole game. Mm-hmm. But Amazon Prime, yeah.
Thank you.
But no, I don't think they're going to be able to run. I mean, Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader are a special duo, and interior pressure is becoming a problem week after week after week to these teams. That's why our defense is playing well. Right. It may not translate into sacks, but it'll translate into bad throws that result in Kirby Joseph being like, "Thank you, sir. I will have another interception, please." So,
I mean, the Lions defense held the Bears to just 78 yards on the ground, and 39 of those yards came from Caleb Williams from the quarterback position. So, this number, though, 70 yards, this is where even money is. You bet 100, you win 100. Okay? This is what the odds makers are predicting he'll get is 70 yards. And this number is so – it's like perfect. It's like that's the one that these guys know what they're doing in Vegas. I wouldn't touch that bet. I know you're saying you don't think he gets.
I think he'll get over. I think he'll get over 60. I think that if it was 60, I would be like, okay, he's going to go over. I would probably go over. If it was 60, I would probably go over. But at 70, I think I could go under that and feel confident.
Okay, I like that call out. Mm-hmm. Randy's calling me a dummy. He says Fox is a national channel that everyone gets. The whole country can watch it then. But I don't have like a digital antenna like Joseph saying. I don't have anything like that. I tried to watch the Fox game yesterday.
Got an 8-track and a VCR.
I had to pay money to YouTube. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess I need a digital antenna. I need to go out and get me one of those. But you hear that music, folks. Leo says, what about Gibbs leaking all the plays? Well, Dan Campbell's come out today and said, who cares? Who cares? If they know what we're going to do, then we're just not good enough. Let's put the whole thing out there. I think Dan Campbell, that's smoke, folks. He was pissed about this. You could tell on Sunday at the press conference he was pissed when someone told him about it.
I got to try. If he said, Campbell does not blow smoke, Mike. If he was pissed, he would be like, look, man, we had a team. He would tell everybody what it is. But I think the idea of our team, and I wanted to comment on this because it's kind of like, I don't give a shit if you know what I'm going to do. I got dudes that are better than your dudes. We're going to run right freaking here. What the fuck are you going to do about it?
And to that
That's
point,
what
Ben
we
Johnson.
play.
To that point, Ben Johnson actually said that Kenny Clark in the game this year against Green Bay called out, "Hey, it's a run play, it's a run play, it's a run play," and we still got 9 yards on the carry in the red zone because they knew it was coming, they just couldn't stop it.
What are you going to do
Carolyn
about
in the
it?
comment, Ben Johnson laughed about it and said, "Now we know what they know." Very nice. Very, very nice. And if you didn't get the chance to watch the coordinators at the podium, Dave Phipp, one of my favorites, the special teams coordinator for the Detroit Lions, was asked, now that Khalif Raymond is also injured, who's going to return punts? And he would not disclose, he wouldn't tell us, but he did say that 2 guys were begging for punt reps. Guess who those 2 guys are? They both went to Alabama. I'll give you a hint. Jamison Williams and Terrion Arnold are begging to return punts. They want to impact the game. They want to touch the ball. Neither returned punts in college, but they both returned kickoffs in college. We have seen J-Mo returning punts in training camp, so he at least is somewhere on the depth chart there in punt returns. So it will be very interesting to see who they have returning punts. I don't think it's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown again after his knee got dinged up from doing it. He's just too valuable to the offense to let Amon-Ra out there fielding punts. I'm sorry. I don't think we're going to see that again. But I thought that was super interesting that J-Mo and Terrion Arnold begging to do punt returns for the Detroit Lions. Going to be interesting to see what happens there on Thursday. You've been watching the Main Event Football Show brought to you by NFLShop.com. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. If you like football content like this, you can click that QR code. Russ will leave it up there on the screen for a few seconds. Get your phone out. You can click that QR code. It will take you right to our link to NFLShop.com where you can save up to 50% off this week. And it also gives a little bump to our page, so we really appreciate it.
The link on our YouTube page does not work. Chad was correct. You have to go to the one that's on the Facebook page, and that one will give you the cyber deal.
There you go. There you go. So NFLShop.com, thanks a lot for sponsoring this show today. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our content and all of our places. Time to do the sign off now. Want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you everyone who's watching on the recorded version. I'll be back again on Monday night next week, hopefully talking about a victory over the evil empire. Don't forget to check out the Villain Report every day, Monday through Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on this very network. For Russell Wayne, I'm Main Event Mike, saying God bless each and every one of you. I mean that from my heart. Peace out.